Hello and welcome to The Switch. This is the series where we talk to inspirational people, each of them wildly successful in their own fields, about big turning points in their lives and how we can all position ourselves for success. I'm Dee Fittit and I'm lucky enough to quiz these people about the precise mix of skills, behaviours, traits, drive and sheer grit that have gone to the top of their game. In particular, I'm interested in those pivotal points in their lives, the light bulb moment that propelled them to a new level, and what we can all learn from it. This episode, Stamp Out the Doubt, has us look inwards for change as we speak to one of our own SJP partners and financial advisors and discuss a very personal story of belief, ambition and openness to embrace change. Our guest will talk about her personal journey through corporate sales and business management and now striking out on her own as an in-demand personal financial advisor, and how she turned personal adversity, self-doubt and risk aversion into embracing change, running her own business and now thriving. But importantly, The Switch is about you, our listeners. Are you content with your life and your career? Are you considering making a change of your own? Are you maybe looking for a new direction or the motivation to take that critical step up? Whatever your situation, I hope that you'll take inspiration from this show. And as the series continues, we'd love to take your questions for our future guests. To introduce myself, I work for the UK's largest provider of face-to-face financial advice, St James's Place. And I'm involved in our academy, which has so far trained over 1,300 financial advisors. These are people from all walks of life who have decided to make a career switch of their own. And today I'm joined by Adele Cable. Adele runs Adele Cable Wealth Management, with clients ranging from families to fellow financial services professionals through to premier footballers. Adele won our Academy Mike Wilson Award for being our top SJP Academy Graduate in 2023. She was also in the top 10 of SJP single partner businesses for the calendar year 2023 and was given the Founders Award to reflect her ongoing success. Adele grew up in Ireland, one of 7 children, and had to work hard to get on and make her way in the world. Always with a strong work ethic, she worked multiple jobs to pay her way through university. And after that, set off on a corporate career path, taking on key roles in training, sales and management. Climbing the ladder with ever-increasing responsibility and lots of international travel, all requiring a lot of drive and ambition. Coming through a few significant pivot points and personal setbacks along the way, Adele has made her way towards establishing her own highly successful wealth management business and is now loving every minute of it. Adele, a very warm welcome and thank you so much for joining us on The Switch.
Oh, you're welcome, G. Nice to see you again.
So, for many of our guests, there wasn't one single change point that defined your career. And I'm sure we'll get into those details later. But before we get into the change points, can you first tell our audience a bit about yourself? Whereabouts are you based?
Yeah, sure. I live out near Windsor and I operate from my home and I come into London a lot. So I meet clients in London, meet clients online. I use these offices a lot in Lombard Street.
Fantastic. And how about growing up? You grew up in Ireland. Tell us about that.
I did. I grew up in Dublin. I'm the oldest of 7 children, with very hardworking parents who really instilled in all of us, you've got to get out there, work really hard and the rewards will come. They were very focused on sort of us getting as much education as possible. We had lots of fun, lots of challenges, but a great place to grow up around great, friendly people. And so I love this job because I'm literally just chatting to people all day long. So it reminds me of, all my time growing back up in Dublin.
Fantastic. And what was it like being the eldest of 7? Were you sort of quite a caring responsibility at some point?
Yeah. Well, my dad made me laugh the other day because I was talking to him about, how did you keep up that energy of stories, reading stories every night? I had 3 children and they loved the stories every night and I loved them too. But by the time the youngest was 10, I was like, this is a lot of work. And he said, oh, well, we didn't have to worry about that because we trained you and you did the rest of them. So I realised actually you've raised more children than 3, but it was great. It was fantastic. It was always a mate. It was always, my brothers and sisters were my best friends. There was always lots of friends around. So always surrounded by people. It was great.
Oh, I love it. Well, thinking about that time, what kind of life did you see ahead for yourself? Were there any signs of where your career path might take you? If so, at what age?
Oh, I had no clue whatsoever. I mean, at 19, I finished my degree and I put a backpack on my back. There was no really job opportunities in Dublin back then. It was really hard. It's completely changed now. But back then, literally, I got on a ferry out of Ireland over to England, landed in London, 80 quid in my pocket, scared stiff, didn't really know anybody or what to do. So I just worked my way from there really, but was really lucky to just meet good people along the way that mentored me and looked out for me. And I always had my 2 ears open, like, who's going to be able to help me? Who can help me? And ask. I was always interested in people and how they got to where they were. And I was very fortunate. I got one of my first career starts at Swiss Bank and a great mentor there. And she sort of just gave me, taught me about the business world. But every single day I learned something new. And I never would have thought my career would end up where it was now. Because you don't know what challenges are going to come along, personal things that happen to you or professional things that happen to you. That means you just have to change course. So yeah, no clue whatsoever. I wanted to be a doctor. I was very upset that I didn't get enough points to get into university to be a doctor. I'd missed it by 1 point, but I'm so glad now because I'm so squeamish.
It was
I'd have had
right
to change career in any way.
Oh, and what did you study at university in the end?
I ended up studying psychology, politics and philosophy
Wow.
at University College Dublin. So I loved it. It was really, really fun. But I was still very young. I was very, very young at university. So it felt like an extension of school really, and I'd 7 part-time jobs, so I didn't get to have the fun part, I guess, of uni. I was my fun came with all my jobs. I loved it, because I worked in pubs, I worked in restaurants, I worked in the university shop, because the fees had to be paid, and I cycled there every day. 8 miles to cross.
Wow.
So, it kept me fit.
Absolutely.
But I loved it. I had lovely friends there, and my brother joined, and we had a great time. So it was great. But my mum instilled in me, you've got to get education. The first thing you have to do is invest in yourself, and that's
great
laid
advice.
through right the way through. So it was great. I enjoyed it, but I've learned so much more beyond university and in the real life. And I've been fortunate to be, have the opportunity to continue to get, my friends always tease me about the letters after my name. So continue to accumulate them, but because I love it. I love learning.
I love it. And what did your parents do?
My mum was a full-time mum, 7 kids. So
yeah, she
was pretty much, she was amazing and literally massive inspirer for all of us. My dad worked in a factory which was making cable and wireless, and he worked an evening job as well. They had to make ends meet. They were hard-working mum and dad, but I don't remember the hardship part. It must have been very hard for them. I just remember the fun of jumping in. My poor old dad would come in from work at 5 and we'd be sitting on the step ready to go out to the beach in the evening if it was a sunny night, or, they always just made things really, really fun. So
amazing.
Yeah, but they wanted me to go into it. My mum was determined for me and all my brothers and sisters to have opportunities because they didn't have the opportunity for education. It just wasn't available back in their time, and I feel quite sad about that because my mum especially loved education, and right to the day she died she actually got herself online degrees and things, which was great because the world has changed now. It's there's opportunities.
Her passion for
there.
that learning never left.
No, it didn't. She had such an amazing brain power, so she was very inspirational for all of us.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what brought you to London for the first time then, to pack your bags and think, I'm coming to London?
It was just the job opportunity. I'd heard about the job opportunity. I think back, there was no mobile phones, no Facebook, nothing, no communication. We didn't even have a phone in our house. So if I needed to communicate, I had to ring the neighbours who kindly would run into my mum. She normally got a call if something had gone wrong. So, it must have been very worrying for her. But I just knew that when I got to London, it was like the streets were paved with gold. There was these A boards all over the streets that were saying, work as a temp for 8 hours, £8 an hour. And that was like amazing. I was on £4 an hour waiting tables back in Ireland, and there was no jobs. I'd applied for some, but there was such a high demand. I hadn't been successful. And I came to London, and it was like, wow. I literally walked into the job centre and had a job offer within an hour. Packed my bag, got in, and had a room provided with it. It was amazing.
That's incredible. Well, very brave of you to do that. But so the kind of, I guess, the stories you'd heard appeared to be true for you, which is fantastic. So before moving into sales and management roles, you worked in corporate training. How did that come about?
Well, ironically, I came to London, then I actually met some friends and travelled and went travelling for a bit, which again, I guess was ahead of my time. There used to be a book you would read on working your way around, grape picking and things like that. So I'd met some people there, came back, got the job in Swiss Bank, and then all of a sudden came into the offices one day and there'd been a major crash on that. I didn't even really understand what that meant at the time. I just knew that there was a lot of people in the office one day and there was a lot of people not there the next day.
Wow.
So my mentor, this lady, said, look, don't worry, your job's going to be okay. And I said, but my job is to assess people's training. I was still there, working, sort of just helping people to match up with training courses. And really fortunately, one of the training companies I worked with said to me, would you like to come in and become a lecturer teaching people how to use PCs and laptops? And I said, oh, great, but you're going to need to teach me first. So, because bear in mind, back then that was just the start of it. So amazing company called Computer Technology and Education Centre. I started working for them, and I would be on a plane on a Monday up to Glasgow. Friday was Liverpool. The rest of the week was in London training, and I was teaching people how to use computers. And it was as simple as, this is a screen, this is a mouse, this is how they work. But then went on to more complex things like how to use spreadsheets, how to use databases. And then my love of sort of getting into a bit of programming and computers came out of that, because I got on to teaching more advanced things and things that stand good to this day actually on spreadsheets. And it's been really great in this job. So it's really interesting that different things you pick up along the way and people are very, very crucial to any U-turns you need to make. But so I love that. So I trained people. That's when I used to stand up the front of room, and I was petrified of that.
I was going to say, did you enjoy that? Or
yeah, I did.
By the end,
but I guess at the beginning I was, oh my gosh, all these people. There might be 16 people in a room sitting at a computer looking at you. My biggest scary day though was when I taught them how to delete a complete drive, and I deleted the whole computer system one day, so that was a very scary moment. Just taught me to be really prepared in my presentation. But I guess it's a little bit like, I love that they've introduced in schools now show and tell, and my children have had that. We never had that, and that's something they've had in America for a long time. So no matter who you speak to and what job they do in a country that's had that, people are very confident. And I was very lucky to have that at the beginning of my career. It doesn't faze me to stand up in front of a group of people now or to talk. I guess Ireland taught me how to talk. Touch of the blarney. But that was brilliant. So I love that. And it was ironic. It was, again, a little bit of a U-turn. My first job in London was in a pub. And there was a group of people who used to come in, and they looked really successful. They looked like they loved their job. They were with their clients. I said, what do you do? And they said, work for a company called Xerox, and we're sales. And I thought, wow, I'd love to work for that company. And ironically, my boss in the computer training company got a moved job to Xerox, and he called me and said, would you like to come for an interview? We've got a training role. And I had to go to, it was quite exciting. I remember being flown to San Diego to learn all this new computer. It was called SGML. It was Standard Generalized Markup Language. It was learning about coding and how to bring that back into Xerox, because they had some really innovative products that not a lot of them went to market, but I was working on training our clients that use this, this complex publishing software. And got my training background inside of there. And then I moved into management type training, so teaching people interviewing skills, how to run team skills, recruitment, etc. And then I had a meeting one day with one of the directors. They were very good. They used to have succession planning meetings. And she said to me, "Oh, how are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I love my job. I'm, working. I've got my office. I've got a fancy car. I'm really happy. I love it." And she said, "But why aren't you in sales?" And she said, "You told me you wanted to come to this company in sales. You're in training." And I said, "Well, I love it. And I was studying to do an MBA at the time. And I said, I've gone through the Xerox training was amazing, very intense and very, really detailed. So I was very lucky. I was going through the management training, having completed a number of, very intense interviews and processes that I had to go through. And I said, "I don't want to stop in management in this." And she said, "Well, if you want to get on this company, you're in a sales company." She said, "You need to move into sales." And I said, "I'm too old to change careers."
How old were you at this point?
I was 26. And I look back and I said, I think I was just getting married. I had signed up for a mortgage. I'd got a pay rise.
Wow.
And I knew I had to halve my pay if I went into sales. And that was scary. And she said, "Honestly, I would literally bet my job on it that you are going to do well." And she picked up the phone and she said, "Right, I need to one of the regional managers, I need you to interview this young girl. She needs to be in sales. Take her office away. Leave her with her car.
Yeah.
She needs to go out, banging on doors selling." And that started an amazing turn in my career. I was petrified, to be honest, though, because I was dropping down quite a bit in salary, but I ended up quadrupling my salary that year. But I came into an environment that really helped me to thrive. I worked with people that were just such fun, so exciting. I loved the whole wanting to be at the top of the leaderboard. I won Honours Club that year, which was like a very prestigious thing, but it was just through sheer grit and determination. It was no surprise that those of us that won Honours Club that year were the ones that were always in the office at 7 and 8 at night, having pounded the streets all day.
Yeah.
So that was the start of the sales career.
And that's a full circle moment for you, because you worked in the bar. They were coming in. They were the sales team, and you were like, "I want to do that job," and you ended up doing that job.
Yeah, exactly, and I loved it.
And what were your parents thinking at that time? Were you?
Oh, they were
traveling the world.
Oh, they were so excited. I mean, literally so excited. And they just, I traveled the world. I then, within Xerox, moved into loads of different roles, which was great. They were fantastic at sort of giving you opportunities. I was always focused mainly, once I'd done that job and I became a sales manager, after that, I really moved into roles that were introducing new things into the world. So, for example, language translation was a very big business for them, because we dealt with the big car companies and aircraft companies and things that needed translation of documents. So that was exciting. So my team were based all over the place. So lots of travel, States and France and all over Europe. And great at the time. I didn't have children. It was fantastic. Yeah. It was fun. I even went to India for quite a bit of time doing training, which was great. And then, so that was sort of a
period
fun,
of your life.
It was a fun period of my life, traveling, and at that time you travelled, in very posh parts of the plane and stayed in very posh hotels.
Yeah, and it feels to me like the building blocks of there's key skills that you probably draw on now. You're laying the foundation, so you've got like the training, the standing up in front of people, and the sales, and the just always with people. And you're such a natural, Adele, with people, that I can see all of this happening. Like I'm imagining it in my mind as you're talking to me, which is great. And it's up to you if you want to talk about this or not. But we had the pre-call, and you shared that you did have some personal setbacks. Would you mind sharing?
Yeah,
perhaps?
Sure, of course. So obviously my career was like massively on a huge up. I really loved it. Great, energy. And then I went on a ski trip, brought my sales team actually on a ski trip, and I fractured my skull. And that was a really big, huge impact on my life, because I had no idea. I mean, if you'd said to me, "Here's a parachute, jump out of a plane," I mean, yeah, no problem. If there was turbulence, great. All of a sudden, it was pretty scary that, you think your life could be swooped away from you. And it was a bit of an unfortunate instance in the hospital as well, where they actually communicated it wrongly to me. The person didn't speak good English and said, "Look, within 24 hours, you're going to die." And it was whoa.
Whoa.
And then left us for about an hour and then came back and said, oh, well, what we meant to say was you need to not move and stay in the hospital, because apparently a lot of people get ski injuries and say, oh, I'm fine, and go back out. And that's when they get brain bleeds and things happen. So having something physically
you believed that for a whole hour? You thought that you just had 24 hours left?
Oh my gosh, and I had a little baby at home, my first baby Amy. All I wanted to do was get back to her, and they were saying, you make it worse. I was like, what 10 hours? Well, how can I make this worse?
It's trauma ultimately, isn't it?
It is trauma. It is. And I think, it's somebody said to me, my daughter was talking to me yesterday about, a friend of hers having a situation where she's in fight or flight mode all the time, and it has kept me in that a long time. I guess there's positives out of that, because it really drives my adrenaline and can drive me at times to working crazy hours, but it was a big impact on me, and I really relate to anybody having any sort of form of trauma and how it completely can change their life. So it
completely changes. I can relate. I can't completely relate because I haven't fractured my skull, but I have had an instant in my life where I now look at risk very differently. So when my daughter I've only got one child, when she was born, I had preeclampsia, very much an emergency situation. And like you, it's suddenly you're fragile, your life can be. And I remember coming out of the hospital scared to cross the road.
Oh, I know. Yes, I know. It is. You don't realise the impact it has on other things. So, I hope you're okay now.
Yeah, all good. So now you work in financial advice. Do you find there's a lot of demand for your services as an advisor? Right at the beginning, we said that there are an array of different clients that you have. Tell us about the demand that you're finding. Oh my gosh,
there's huge demand. And I love, part of my job is actually making sure people know that they need it. Because people don't realise, they think, oh, financial advice is for the wealthy. I'm not wealthy enough to have a financial advisor. Or, literally, I try to say to people, from the moment you're born, your parents need to start putting a little bit aside if they can afford that. But the moment you start to work, you really need advice. It doesn't matter how little you're earning. I have clients whose children are starting their first part-time job, and I sit down and go, right, the minute you start this, we're doing some financial education. And, they will be putting by, it's quite funny because a lot of them say, oh yeah, well, I'm giving my money to Adele.
Yeah, it's yours still.
Every single person needs it, and there's not a lot of us around. As you know, there's been a huge drop from over 250,000 advisors to 27,000, I believe the number is. So there is a lot of demand. I mean, I'm literally taking on more advisors now because I cannot keep up with a lot of the demand that's coming in, which is great because it means people are going, I need help. I don't know how I need it, but I need you to tell me how I need you.
Yeah, absolutely. So describe your role then as a financial advisor. What do you take people through when you meet them, first of all?
So first of all, I'm asking them about I need to know about their life. So I need to know, their family, their work situation, their income, their expenditure, and most importantly, what their aspirations are. So what's your dream? When do you want to retire? They're normally 16 looking at me. I have no idea.
I haven't started work yet.
Right the way through. But a lot of the time I have to help them form those aspirations. But you'll typically get a family, parents maybe in their 40s, and they're saying, well, we'd like to retire by the end of our 50s or 60s. Maybe we'd like to have a second home, or have downsized, or gone up to a bigger house, or whatever their goals are. It's forming them and helping them actually to understand, right, so that's what you want to get to. And they go, oh, actually, yes, thank you for helping me to realise that.
Yeah.
And then we look at, right, where are you now? And my job is to make sure they are safe in every aspect. So I call it the Grim Reaper part of my job. The risk side is always the first part. I say, right, have you got a will? Have you got powers of attorney? Have you got protection in place for, if you have a car crash and you can't work? What if you get critically ill? What if you die? So it's looking at that part. That's really, really the most important part that you start looking at. And then you get on to the exciting bit of the saving for the future and how growing that money. And so what I do is I try to say to people, look, this is where we're at the moment, and you're probably just a red on everything, and we're going to start moving things into the green. And we grow, and I meet with them on a regular basis at first, and then we agree maybe to meet up every, once a year or twice a year or 3 times a year, depending on the complexity of their situation. But basically it's about, where do you want to be? where are you now? And I will help you build that plan. And I show them cash flow planning and say, well, if you carry on doing what you're doing, you're going to be retiring at about 280.
Oh, wow. So it's really having that visual.
However, and I do it really visually. And however, if you just change X, Y, Z and you put an extra £200 a month or £2,000 a month or whatever it is, then literally this is the impact on, I show them some different what-if scenarios. And the impact's been quite huge. And it was interesting. My daughter's just going through this training at the moment, and she's been sitting in on appointments. And it's been quite amazing looking at it through her eyes. Although I'm still fairly new and it's a second career for me, it's interesting. She goes, wow, you're really changing people's lives here. You are changing the way they think. And they start to get quite addicted to their saving and their growing and realising how much money they're wasting, really.
Yes.
And the other really important part of the job is tax planning and making sure that people understand the key taxes, so they understand the tax system. I really focus on education, and even right the way through, whether it's a young sports person or a person starting their first job, they understand what is my tax implication, how can I save tax if I need to, because there are lots of the UK tax system's great. There are lots of things you can do, putting more money into your pension, and people just don't understand those things.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
So I've got the advantage that I hadn't got a clue about any of these things. So I love to just really explain things really simply and help people form that plan. So that it just gives them that, my daughter described it really well. She said, I can see people's shoulders physically dropping, because they're going, okay, so I'm going to be all right. Even if they don't like where they're currently at, seeing a little plan of how much they can put aside on a regular basis just makes them realise, I've got someone to lean on. And I have people call me at, 10 o'clock on a Saturday night and they go, I've just suddenly panicked about my tax bill or whatever. And it's lovely to be able to give them that, that shoulder to lean on.
And how do you measure success in your engagements? I guess it is that shoulder drop moment, which maybe you don't notice because you're in the moment. Yes. But it's nice to have had your daughter's pair of eyes in that meeting.
Yeah.
Other than her being there, how do you typically measure success that you're having with clients?
Okay, my biggest successful measurement is when my clients tell their friends about me, and they say, look, I've just told my friends, I've told my colleagues, I've told my family, wow, this is enlightening. Somebody said, you need Adele. Everyone needs an Adele in your life. And I thought, what a lovely compliment, because she's just saying it doesn't matter whether you're, the richest person I know or the person just starting their first job. You need to talk to this lady. So that's always my biggest form of compliment.
Oh, the best compliment you can get, a referral, 100%. So this is the point in the show where we want to go to that light bulb moment, the career change. You've mentioned it's your second career. So we've called this episode Stamp Out the Doubt, because throughout your life you've faced a few turning points and challenges, but there's been a common reflection on what you've faced and how you've dealt with it. And I think we can all learn from you, Adele. So can you tell us about what you see as your biggest switch moment in your career so far?
Okay, so yes, it was a big moment, and I walked into my kitchen and my husband was sitting with his financial advisor, who was a St James's Place financial advisor, and he said, oh, hi there. I said, I'm just at a point where I just need to do something different, and it's either retire or, I was thinking about setting up a training company. I was fed up of traveling. I knew what I didn't want. I had, brand shining, lovely new husband, and I had 3 great children, and I wanted to be spending more time. I wanted to look at, what lifestyle would, give me a good career, but give me, be able to keep that balance, because I didn't want to go back to the situation of, really, the anxiety, and just something that would fit in with my lifestyle. And it was, he just said, well, why don't you become a financial advisor? And I said, well, because I'm old. They really thought I was like too old to change careers. And I don't know anything about this end of the world. And he said, oh, well, we've got an amazing academy. He said, and we will teach you everything. He said, what we can't teach you, you've got. He said, you've got the amazing contacts. You've got people who trust you. You've got the ability to explain things simply. He said, we always have a good chat when we come here. He said, why don't I put you in touch and get you a phone call tomorrow to have that chat? So great guy. I was really, I'll always thank him to the day I die.
Fantastic.
Because it was a great change. And the process started from there. And as you know, G, St James's Place is amazing. It is such a caring, nurturing environment from that very first phone call with Ken, right the way through to the sessions with Charlie and Gemma, and everybody who influenced my decision on what to do. It was just amazing. I thought, I want to work with these people. These are amazing people. I've always been surrounded and worked with fantastic people, and these are just an extension of that. But they know stuff that I don't know. But they've promised me that they will wrap that technology, all that knowledge around.
And support around
yes, around it.
And what I like about the process, so obviously I work within the academy, so I'm familiar with the names that you just mentioned and the roles that they were doing at that time, and their role is to help people through our if you like, selection process. But it's really a self-selection process. There's homework to do, isn't there? But it's supported. So every step of the way, it's to help you make an informed decision about, is this right for you?
Absolutely. And I did feel it was very much a two-way thing, because it was a big decision to change, and a big decision to put my trust in a company ironically, I'd been a client for a long time. I just hadn't heard about the academy with them, with St James's Place. So I'd always trusted them with my money, but I knew nothing really about, a lot of the things that went on in the background. So it was really fascinating to come in and go, wow, this is an amazing setup. And them helping me to assess whether it was going to be a good career. So no, fantastic. Anybody going through the process, I cannot congratulate the whole team and the whole way the process is set up, and just the fact that you congratulate second careers. Like at that point in my career, I'll be honest with you, I was feeling very old and sort of ready to be, going out into pasture. I really was.
How old were you at the time?
I was 52. I was 52. And I look back now, like I'm obviously a little bit older than that now. But I just think that was crazy. And it was interesting. At 26, I made a major career change. And then 26 years later, here I was, the new kid in town. And I was coming to interviews with people who were, half my age. But also, I wasn't the oldest in my academy group, which was great. And it was the one big question I asked. And I always remember Gemma saying, I said, look, I'm really nervous because everybody I've worked with so far really respects me for, my longevity and just they know me. I don't have to prove myself. I'm a bit concerned about coming in as the new girl and having to prove myself. One, I don't know whether I've got the energy. And I was very, very honest and open. And everybody along that journey said to me, you have no idea how much we will value your experience elsewhere. And we're just adding knowledge to you and teaching you something new, but all the basis of how you're going to help clients and listen to clients and matching solutions with their needs. You've got that, and so I felt like, right, shoulders back. They want me. They value all of that. And then, obviously I was very thirsty for knowledge. So I did go on and get my chartered and my fellowship and try to make sure that I was the top in my industry, because I've always been the top.
It's who you are. It's who you are, Adele. And like you said, you're always, your family values are learning and getting to the very top of your game. And it's wonderful to see you doing that here. So do you feel like one of the biggest challenges you overcame was sort of your age, or was it something else?
To be honest, I haven't found this role any major challenges, because I've just felt so supported all the way along the way. Getting to understand the tax system, that was, I have to say, that bent my brain. And I literally, if I hadn't had the support that I had from my husband, Jason, and my children, who literally used to sit outside. I could feel them the other side of the door when I was doing my exams, and they would be like anxious, like, expectant fathers outside the door, like, did you pass? But they knew literally they were feeding me food, drink, literally so that I could just put my head down and get into this technical knowledge. So that was probably the biggest challenge. But once I got it, it's really quite amazing. I feel a bit like I watched this program called The Good Doctor, and I love it. And the guy is he's a surgeon, and he maps things out in his brain. He can see them. And I was telling my husband this, that I said, this is the minute I sit down with somebody, I can immediately start to go, and I've got that. And he constantly reminds me, he goes, do you remember the day you were like petrified that you wouldn't understand this tax system because it was so complex? So that's about the only challenge. Otherwise, I love it. I love my clients. I love the people I work with.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because I think some people would feel a little bit anxious about studying again, perhaps if they haven't done that for a while. But if you get yourself in the right mindset, you've got the support system around you, you've made it happen, which is amazing.
Do you know, Suji, it just made me feel so young. I feel like my brain literally, I feel like my brain has expanded about 10 times. And it was really, I guess it was bored. Because there was no challenges. And then all of a sudden I was in this fight or flight mode. I had to make this a success. And I had to wake my brain up. And it's great. I love it.
Amazing. And so since you came through the Academy program, tell me a bit about the support then. So you have various different people supporting you along the way, Academy Development Managers, for example. How was that for you, and how did that help you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just lucky with the amazing people that, I got support. I had Simon when I came out. So I had great support inside the Academy. Everybody is just so supportive. And then I had Simon Jones. He helped me when I came out. He was amazing and really mentoring me through. And I was lucky that I picked up a great friend along the way, Perry Scott. He was just fantastic. So Perry was great. He was always ringing me. He was doing a lot of exams at the same time as I was. And it was really nice, but I also made great friends on the Academy, and the people that I did my training with are still, if you said one of their names, a big smile would come on my face. You get this camaraderie, which is amazing, and we lean on each other. You get closer to a few more than others, and there's some that I would literally just pick up the phone. What does this mean? Where'd you get this on the internet? Because there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to know. And we all know how to really look after our clients. But sometimes when you get inside the corporation, then it's a bit of okay, who do you speak to get this done? So we've been brilliant. The peer group is just fantastic. And inside my own location, I've got fantastic support from my PDM. And, that's amazing, amazing support. I couldn't be without that. I ring Wasim every day, which is great.
Well, that is amazing to hear. And we've already discussed you've got lots and lots of clients, and the greatest compliment is a referral. But right back at the beginning, if you can remember, where did you find your first clients and how did that feel?
Oh, good question. I mean, they were all my friends and family and the people that were closest to me, which is ironic because when I'm going through the initial training, I thought I'm going to be so nervous of asking people about it's quite personal information.
Yeah, it is.
It's not quite doctor level, but it's like, how much do you earn? Something you've never had that conversation. And I sort of got over myself within about 2 meetings because I realised this is how I help them. I have to know this, so it doesn't even faze me now. But yeah, my first clients were my friends who really believed in me, and they were great. And they then told their friends, and it just went out like a little spider's network. And those few key people that were really, really keen to help me, and I really appreciated them believing in me when I was literally sitting with all my notes.
Yes, at the beginning.
Having to check. But you have so much support, and there's a guarantee within St James's Place that, guarantees all our advice, and there are lots of processes inside that make sure that everything is correct, and it's a bit scary at the beginning, but you're not allowed, do it on your own. You are supervised and you're there, and it's a nice supervision. They sit and give you that feedback and make sure, you're meeting the right regulatory standards and understanding everything.
Amazing. Now you're running your own business, and I know you sponsor a football team. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. A ladies' football team.
I love that.
So ironically, that came back from way back from one of my first jobs in Xerox, where I met a very good friend of mine who introduced me to his business that he'd set up and a number of his staff. And one of the staff said, "Oh, we're having a real challenge trying to get, I've got getting girls into soccer." He said, "It's brilliant," but he said, "There's just not the money there." And it's really even, sometimes sometimes just going out to people and they want to do it, but they can't afford to wear the shirts and things. I was like, oh, no. So he said, oh, well, how do you fancy, sponsoring one of the team shirts? So that's where that came from, because I love that, girls are getting into football now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. My sister was a great footballer and was told at 10 that she couldn't be part of the team because she was a girl. So I was like, no, we can't have this. We've got to have equal opportunity for everybody. I try to support, and anybody, I'm going to be supporting my own, I believe it or not, play basketball, my own basketball team, and just try to give back wherever you can, just where there's areas that you can, help them along.
Be a positive influence. And so the kit itself is a lovely bright pink colour. Were you involved in choosing that?
Oh, yes. I said,
love that.
Can I have, and they said, well, our first team away kit is going to be pink.
Fantastic.
So it was great. I was designing my website at the time, and as you know, I like to wear bright colours. I typically wear pink is one of my colours I wear a lot. So, I thought, my name has to go on that.
And tell us about your family. I understand your daughter has joined your business. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So I've got my oldest daughter, Amy. She's doing her master's in law at the moment and travelling. And my second daughter, Victoria. So she started actually when she was about 15. She's really, really interested in just, how the bills get paid. She was always got an inquisitive mind about, all my admin that seemed to be sitting around in piles. And she's also, she likes to earn a bit of money. So she set up a little deal with me when she was about 16, started working, doing all my PA stuff. And she really enjoyed it. And she's very, very highly intelligent. She's got a very mathematical brain, and she wanted to understand everything that I was doing. And I said to her then when I was at St James Place, well, why don't you come and work part-time? So she started doing, and it was great, she started liaising with clients. Clients loved her. She was always so efficient, and I wanted just some efficiencies in the business. So she set up all spreadsheets, and everything was organised, because as you know, in our business we have to have very set processes. So she was absolutely great, a great support to me, because we do a lot of pension consolidation and pension research. So she started as like pension researcher, and she just wouldn't let go until she got all the information, and which, as you know, is hard, because a lot of companies don't want to give out that information. So she did that part-time while she was at university, and but good for her. She worked so hard, and she's still got herself a first-class degree, and got herself accepted into the academy, and had the whole selection process. She got treated the same as anybody else. Yeah. And she's whizzed through. She's done it a lot quicker. She whizzed through the exams. I think I made a bit of it was an error or a good point, but when we were trying to decide on a remuneration package, Joe, who was going through the recruitment, said, why don't you give her an incentive to get the exams done? And I said, okay, I'll give you, 500 quid each exam. I thought I'd get her through it quickly. And she goes, I did 4 this month. I was like, wow. To pay her a big amount. But she's driven like that. She's, I'm the same. And we look at, okay, if I do this is what's going to happen. So she's got that high activity focus, and she'll be out of the academy next month. And I just actually did her first assessment yesterday. She did a trial on me, and I was quite blown away. I have to say I was really blown away, because, she's young, and I thought, wow, this is really good. And what I was super impressed about was she was teaching me things that I hadn't taught her. Either things that I knew that I was thinking she hasn't been involved in meetings like that. So she learned that from the academy. She learned that outside independently. And I'm excited. She's going to start, she's already got all her first meetings lined up. So
fantastic. So she's going to go straight into advising as soon as she's out. She'll go
straight into advising. Fantastic. And she'll be working we'll work hand in hand. I'm really excited about that for the first 6 months. Either I'll be at all her meetings or she'll be at all mine. And it'll be a great way to do it. Yeah. And then my son is at university doing computer science, but he does have an interest in wealth management, actually. So he helped me with a lot of my studying when I was doing my studying, and I think he thought, I can do this.
Absolutely.
If Mum can do this, I can do this.
He knows all the answers to the exams. Yes. He's been testing you.
Yeah.
So when you're looking after clients, do you feel having advisors of different ages in your practice will be beneficial with the intergenerational advice?
Definitely. I'm quite excited. We've got another advisor starting the academy this month, and he's a chap from Dublin, so that's brilliant. He's a great personality. He's got that great magnetism as well. So he's in his early 40s, so that'll be a nice balance. And also we're looking at a few other changes happening in the business that will bring a very big diversity of ages or genders, or literally everything, and a great team, but all similar to myself. Just want to have a good, nice, fun time at work, helping our clients, but do it in a nice way, and it's not feeling pressured. It's just, if people want our help, we're there to help them. If they pass us on to other people, we will look after those people really well. But I like the lifestyle that it gives us as well, because you're basically just talking to people all day.
And that's what you love to do.
Yes.
It's fantastic. And I understand you've launched a TikTok channel. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, my daughter said to me, look, why don't you, you've got the stories you're telling over and over, I'm listening to you. Why don't you record some of them? Because they're really key messages, particularly for young people, that they need to hear.
Yeah.
This society nowadays is like, got all these people who are huge, big influencers and really successful overnight. But reality is, people need to understand that if you work hard and you save hard, you will have no financial worries in your future. If you don't, no one's just going to come and give it to you, And so I try to just do very straightforward. Literally, I've done two lots of shoots now where we've done half a day and done probably 10, 12 videos on those days. It takes a while to get them approved through all the regulatory system and make sure, they're all correct, etc. But I've had great fun, because it does make me realise, and also have a lot of people come to me and go, it's like a confirmation of your brand. So people who don't know me, like friends, can go, go onto a TikTok, and it'll come up on TikTok
they'll learn a few things before they've spoken to you.
So like I say, share them on Facebook and that. But a lot of them at the moment are aimed at a younger market. We're just trying to say to them, you've got to do the saving. You've got to do it. Understand compound growth. Understand the effect of that. Retirement comes around quickly. Needing to buy your own home. The money, nobody's just going to hand the money to you. You need to start saving. So, but it's been a bit of fun doing it.
I love it. And I love the point that you raised around the internal check. So from our perspective, there's sort of a regulatory check internally before you can use your content externally. And what I have seen quite a lot of are these influencers who aren't financial advisors. They're not qualified, and they are giving advice really to people who aren't regulated, and that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, no, that does with me as well, because obviously I tried to do a bit of research for this, see what are people saying, and I have to say there's some good content out there. There is some really good content, and I like looking at accountants and things. They're very good, and they sort of spur ideas on for me and remind me of things, because you have to constantly keep your knowledge up, and but yes, you're right. There are other people who will just get get kids spending money that they shouldn't be.
Taking risks they don't understand. I think that's the most important one for me.
Exactly. Or just trying to, I wouldn't manage my own funds. I don't do that. You need to be 24/7, St. James's Place, we've got, I don't know, anywhere between 42 and 48 fund houses managing our money. They manage my money.
Yeah.
That's not the part of the job that we do. So I wouldn't sit and do my own investing, because you need to be on top of everything all the time to be able to move your money at the right time.
Yeah.
So it does worry me. And I've had contact from some of the TikTok other people that I've looked at going, would you like to invest in XYZ and crypto and stuff? And it's like high risk. So I actually love, at first I was a bit scared by it, but I love the regulations, and I love the regulatory framework we work inside, and the ticks and the millions of boxes and the millions of things we have to do. But I actually really love that. It gives me great comfort, because I know that it's all really good advice, and it's good, solid advice, because you see a lot of people who are really wealthy as well that are going into bankruptcy, because they didn't have that right advice. And I've also got the other spectrum of my business is looking after ultra high net worth people. And it's great to be able to, especially if I get to talk to them when they're young, to give them this knowledge so that they have the knowledge to know, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to make sure I've got all this checked. I've got all the, I'm not just blindly taking advice from somebody. I need it to be a regulated advisor. I need it to have a structure, and I need to understand all the impacts of what I'm doing. And if there's a higher risk, something higher risk, they understand what that is, and they understand that that should be a small percentage of their investments. they understand about diversification. They understand the importance of what is a regulated advisor. Why is that important? Because they'll get a lot of exotic investors coming, oh, do this, buy there, buy this. And they haven't really thought or understood the exit strategy from that as well. So even if they do go and buy something and it does go well, what's the tax implications of that? So I really spend a lot of time training, and I actually love that the people I help, they really want to know these things. They're not like, oh yeah, just tell me, that's fine, just I'll sign. They're not like, they know that I go, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to go through this in detail so that if I needed to, you could tell me what I've just told you back.
Yeah.
So, it's a very much an education focus, and I do love that part of it. So
fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
So I've got a couple more questions. The difference in mindset between working for yourself, as you do now, versus previous roles working for companies or other people, how's that for you?
It very much focuses you on, the costs in the business, and having to pre-plan and make sure that there is, good cash flow, and that, obviously in our business, we have a lot of costs on cyber security and things for clients. There's a lot of things that have to be paid out for. So it's really just keeping a focus on that and making sure that that's done in the best way, and understanding there are certain things have to be paid out for, and then making sure that anybody that works in the business, there is enough money to pay them. So
yeah.
I do worry about that a lot, you do, because it is a self-employed environment. It's the wages are not coming in, but you can be in a job and it could be lost tomorrow as well. So it does make me think, and when I say to all my clients, even my clients that are PAYE taxpayers and they're in a job, constantly say, right, imagine if tomorrow this was not here, what would you be doing? Have you got your emergency fund? Have you got, and I'm just excited that this new career has given me all this knowledge that I can help people with those things.
It's amazing. What do you feel is the main way people can achieve positive change when faced with career progression or a switch? You've done a couple yourself now. So is it mindset or other circumstances that you think that sort of fuel it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to start with mindset, absolutely. And you've got to go, look, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be the best at it. And talking to the people who are the best.
Yeah,
that's the key thing.
That's a good idea.
I mean, that just works no matter what job I've done. As I said, when I first came to London, I didn't know anybody. Talk to the people who you want to be. Those people you'll aspire to, they've got the answers. And, it's been amazing in this business and I guess all the way through my career at Xerox, and is that people just want to help you genuinely. If you surround yourself with the right people, they will want to help you and it's about how you listen and how you implement, and just don't presume that you know everything. Like, I literally constantly am in awe of other people around me, and I'm can I have a half an hour to just have a chat? And can I tell you what I feel I do well in this area that I want to improve? So just always engage with the other people in the job and ask their help.
Great advice. Be inquisitive and ask for help. And I think genuinely people, when asked for help, are more than happy, delighted in fact to help.
They are.
And they're flattered to be asked. Whereas I think sometimes we feel scared to ask somebody if we are looking up to them because they're amazing at one thing or another.
Yeah.
But actually they feel flattered when you ask for help.
Oh, I mean, one of the best help I had was, top performer in the company, Janine Edwards, and it was actually one of her advisors that was my husband's advisor that ended up, giving me the information about the academy. But Janine and a few other really key people in the company gave me some time and just said, look, this is because even as my business started to grow and my concerns were not, how do I find clients? My concerns were, how do I get to see enough of them and give them a really high level of a service and get the back office sorted so that it frees me up? And those sort of things were just invaluable. So I really, really appreciate the time that people like Janine and have given me, so that I try to give that back to others now. And most people, certainly in SJP, are amazing at helping.
Absolutely. There's a thing we could describe as the spirit of this partnership, which is exactly that.
Yes.
So we have lots of people being mentors to people in the academy, etc.
Yeah.
Now, this is a question I ask all of our guests, but based on a couple of your answers already, it's a good one for you. Is there ever an ideal time to make a significant change in your life?
normally it's because something has happened that will normally drive it. So I would say if there hasn't been something and you feel you're unhappy where you are, look outside, wherever it is. And most things that you can change jobs to will have a path that will start the education before you've actually made the move. So, I mean, ours, for example, is brilliant because you can start doing all your exams while you're still in your other career. And it's not so scary then to go, oh, I don't know if I'm going to pass the exams when I come into the job. So, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be things. I talk to my clients when, you know, they've had their first baby or something's, a divorce has happened. I mean, I spend a lot of time, obviously, as you know, I was divorced, and that was a pivotal time for me because you do have to change, you do have to readjust. And I talk to a lot of divorcing ladies and men, you know, and say, right, things are going to change in your income and outgoing now. You're running 2 homes. Now's the time maybe to start thinking about doing that extra training, investing in yourself and doing that change. But I would say no time like the present. If you're listening to this podcast, then it's probably because you're thinking about a change. So investigate it.
Absolutely. Go and have that conversation with somebody. So we've already mentioned, my next question was going to be, what can people do to build the skills? You've already mentioned sort of pre-learning before you get there. So what would be your top 3 nuggets of advice for our listeners who are looking to make the switch of their own but don't know where to start?
Right. First of all, identify maybe some people who you aspire to be. You know, and do not limit yourself to your industry. I had no idea that this would be the career that I wish I'd had right the way back, you know, literally right the way back in my 20s, because I just love it. So don't limit the type of industry to what you're doing. Secondly, approach those people. Write to them. Write them on LinkedIn. I'm thinking about changing my career. Would you give me 15 minutes of your time to tell me the key things I need to do? Find mentors inside that business. And thirdly, get the education requirements, find out what they are, and start doing them and give yourself that confidence and put some timescales on it. Bit of pressure.
I love that. The timescales are really important. And finally, Adele, thank you so much for your time. But what have you got going on in your life right now and what's next? What's on the horizon?
Oh, well, exciting that I've got some new advisors joining the practice. That's really exciting. And I've recently been welcomed into a group called the MUM Group, which is a group of lawyers who look after ultra high net worth people. And that's been very exciting working with. So we're a group of trusted people who are trusted in a circle for, let's say somebody might be ultra high net worth and they have they're going through a divorce, they will need some financial advice, they'll need an accountant. So it's quite nice for them to come to one place and know that these people have already been pre-vetted. So I'm really loving the journey with that team.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
wish you all the very best. I know you're going to be extremely successful and I wish you every success.
Oh, thanks very much, Jean. Thank you for all your help as well. I've enjoyed all the returners workshops we did as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks
You're
for coming on
welcome.
The Switch.
Okay, all the best.
Our 3 takeaways today are 1, be open to change. 2, listen to fear or doubt, but then be ready to stamp it out. And 3, age is always a doubt, but never a factor. This episode, we've been discussing tackling self-doubt, building resilience and maintaining a strong sense of ambition to help embrace a major direction change. If you enjoyed listening, please make sure you check out all of our other episodes, like, review and share. Thank you for listening.